This comes up almost every year. But I thought we weren't supposed to sacrifice outside of the temple. Right? Okay. 5 different perspectives on this topic regarding sacrifice and Jerusalem. One of them being, since Yeshua, there are no sacrifices. Right? He came, sacrifices are done. I disagree with this particular premise on the grounds that the apostles sent Paul up to the temple with the guys who were completing a vow, and they told him to pay for the things that they would need to do to complete the vow. And when you look at the Torah, the completion of a vow requires an animal sacrifice. Right? That's how you complete a vow at the temple. So I don't really hold to that perspective personally. The second perspective, no temple, no sacrifices. Why? Well, because there's a passage which says that no more shall you do as you have been doing, everyone sacrificing in the field wherever, but you will bring your sacrifice to the door of the tent of the tabernacle of meeting, and it shall be done there, and you're going to pour out the blood on an altar there, and you're going to do these things there. And then with the temple, we have that. So if there's no temple, there's no sacrifice. A sacrifice cannot happen anywhere ever but at the temple itself. Some of the other perspectives disagree with this perspective because you see Samuel running around. Anybody remember Samuel? Guy who shows up to anoint David king and invites everybody to a sacrifice in Bethlehem. And he also goes to do a sacrifice in the field before they go to make war, but Saul had already done it before he arrived. Not at the temple. So what is he doing, and why is he doing it? Well, some people say, well, it's okay for him because he was a Nazirite and or of the Melchizedek priesthood, so it's a different sacrificial system. That's one of the perspectives. There is another perspective that says that in his word, he says he will be a tabernacle to us in all the places where we are scattered in the diaspora. So we have a miniature tabernacle with us wherever we are. Therefore, we can sacrifice anywhere. That's one of the perspectives out there. The perspective that this community has been functioning with is that there is a difference between a slaughtering and a sacrifice. If you go, whether you should or not is another discussion, and get a cheeseburger from McDonald's, or do you have qualms about the dietary permissibility? Probably. But do you have any qualms about, well, I can't eat it because you're not allowed to sacrifice anywhere but Jerusalem? Or do you basically understood that the meat you get from the kosher supermarket isn't a sacrifice, it's been slaughtered, right? So there is a practical difference between a slaughtering and a sacrifice in the Torah. The difference being what you do with the blood. With a sacrifice, you collect the blood and you pour it on the altar, maybe you sprinkle it on some people, whatever the case may be, whatever the ritual of the day happens to be. In a slaughtering, you dig a hole, you drain the blood into the hole, and you cover that with earth. And it spells this out in Torah as to how you're allowed to process animals that are not sacrifices. Right? So what we do as a community, whenever we process an animal, there's no altar set up in Cain's backyard, or mine, or anybody else's, of which I'm aware.